Hey YouTube, it's ICU, and today we're going to be unboxing the all-new Apple Pencil, which was released last week alongside the iPad Pro. However, it just started shipping to customers and being available for in-store pickup this week. Alright, so getting started here, if you guys want a chance to win a brand new 4th gen Apple TV, just be sure to rate this video up and stick around to the end for complete instructions. And with that said, now that we have the Apple Pencil in hand, we're actually going to unbox it as well as go over a few different aspects of the device, which, believe it or not, is $100, which may sound crazy to a lot of people out there, but from an artist's perspective, this thing should be absolutely amazing. Personally, I'm not an artist, but we're actually going to check it out and see whether the device is worth it or not. So it is an accessory for, of course, the iPad Pro. It is exclusive to the iPad Pro, the larger 12.9-inch device, which I did unbox last week when it was released, so I highly recommend checking that out. If you happen to miss it, then just be sure to watch my coverage. I will have it linked for you guys directly in the cards right now. So you may be asking, well, what's so awesome about the Apple Pencil and why would I need it for the iPad Pro? Well, I have it brought up here just on Apple's website, which I will have linked for you guys down below in the more info. And scrolling through here, there's one part that I wanted to read to you guys that actually sounds pretty interesting. So this, of course, is not made to be a primary input device for the iPad Pro. The finger or fingers are still, of course, how you're going to interact with it, and it is not a replacement in any way, shape, or form. This is why it's important. So here on Apple's page, it says, quote, iPad Pro knows whether you're using your finger or Apple Pencil. When iPad Pro senses Apple Pencil, the subsystem scans its signal at an astounding 240 times per second, giving it twice the data points it normally collects with your finger. This data combined with Apple-designed software means there are only milliseconds between the image you have in your mind and the one you see on the display. So basically, there's no doubt that this is a tool for artists, as well as for those of you who like to draw or design things on an iPad. And of course, that may be the whole reason you purchased an iPad Pro. If that doesn't apply to you, is this still a cool device and is it worth purchasing? Let's go ahead and find out. We're going to unbox it now live in real time. All right, so using my knife, we're going to cut through the plastic wrap that's protecting it, and we should be able to do so just up at this top corner here. And now that that's out of the way, we're going to fully remove the plastic wrap that is covering the box. We actually have this convenient plastic tab here at one end of the box, and again, all we have to do is just pull said tab, and the portion that contains the Apple Pencil should just slide out like so. And then on the top, in typical Apple fashion, it says designed by Apple in California, and then we can just pull this piece out, and this has some additional information. We're going to get to it in just a second. Here is the Apple Pencil, so let's go ahead and remove it. Again, we do have a secondary plastic tab here that we can use to just fully take it out of this box, and this is complete cardboard all the way through, so it is not felt lined by any means. And then we can just pull this little tab on the actual pencil itself to take the plastic that is encasing it off. So here it is, guys. This is what $100 or $99 before tax actually buys you, the Apple Pencil. And this is how you'll actually connect it to your iPad Pro to pair it as well as to charge it. Now, returning to this piece that said designed by Apple in California, let's go ahead and pull this packaging out. And what we have on top is pretty interesting. So this is a piece of cardboard that does have two separate pieces housed inside of it that are encased inside of plastic. We also do have a diagram on it. So toward the bottom here, we do have a lightning to USB cable into this little converter with a picture of the Apple Pencil charging end into this. So this is actually how you're going to be able to charge it if you don't want to connect it to the bottom of your iPad Pro constantly. That's just how you can charge it on the go. Remember, 15 seconds of connection equals 30 minutes of real world usage. And then also toward the end here, we do have a little indicator saying to twist the tip of the Apple Pencil, and here is a secondary or a backup tip. And to take these out, all you have to do is just pull this little plastic piece off of each of them, and they should just come out like so. All right, so here you go, these two little pieces of plastic. Remember, this is your secondary tip, and this is your lightning to USB cable charging adapter for the Apple Pencil. And now let's go ahead and return. Also inside of that sleeve, we just have this little piece of paper that says Apple Pencil on it, and it just goes over some brief connecting information for the pencil. We also have safety and handling, as well as the Apple 1-year limited warranty. These aren't really interesting whatsoever, so we can set them off to the side. And let's go ahead and return to the star of this video, the Apple Pencil. So setting all of this off to the side here, I do have the iPad Pro, and we're going to just open it up by taking the smart cover off and then unlock it. And I'm also going to turn up the brightness quickly, and we're actually going to go through the connection process for the Apple Pencil here. So let's go ahead and bring that over into view. And of course, in order to connect it, all we have to do is just take off that top piece like so, and then plug it into the bottom of the device. So let's go ahead and get a close-up of this here. And once we get the camera refocused, you'll notice that again, all we have to do is just plug it in at the bottom of the iPad Pro. And on the screen of the iPad, we don't have anything yet, but oh, there we go. Now it says Bluetooth pairing request. Apple Pencil would like to pair with your iPad. So all we should have to do is just tap on pair, and then the Apple Pencil is paired with the iPad Pro, and we can go ahead and disconnect it. Now, while we do have it connected here, let's just go ahead and take a look at this quickly. So I have the iPad Pro in landscape mode right now, and you'll notice that the pencil is somewhat tilted downwards. However, I don't think that this is going to be too big of a problem for most people. I actually saw a video where the individual was attempting to bend the Apple Pencil while it was connected to the iPad Pro, and it does have some pretty good wiggle there. So as you can see, designed into the pencil itself, it does have some wiggle room. So let's go ahead and plug it in firmly again, and you'll notice that it does kind of wiggle, but that's good. You want some play, so that way if something bumps into it, it's not going to immediately snap. All right, so now let's go ahead and put the Apple Pencil through its paces. We are recording at 60 FPS on the camera, so we're going to see how well this Apple Pencil actually handles and whether there's some lag between the time that we actually make contact with the screen and when the strokes appear on the screen. So we're just here inside of the default Notes application, and whoa guys, that was actually pretty instant. So let's go ahead and switch to a heavier tipped actual utensil here, and we're going to change the color to something a little bit lighter. Let's go ahead and go with orange. We're going to put some pressure on it, and I can tell you guys that this is pretty much happening in real time. There might be some slight lag, so we're actually going to erase all here really quick, and we're going to push in a little bit harder as well as faster with one of the felt tipped utensils inside of the Notes application. So let's go ahead and try this quickly here. Remember, when the iPad Pro detects that the Apple Pencil is the thing that's actually interfacing with it and not your finger, it automatically starts scanning 240 times per second. So you'll be able to get your strokes in much more easily with the Apple Pencil than you would with your fingertip. So let's go ahead and tap on Erase All again. And really the only downside with the Apple Pencil right now, aside from its massive price point, is the fact that the rear end of it does not have a dedicated eraser. While it would require some extra engineering work on Apple's end, as well as some extra integration on developers' parts, I definitely think that having that dedicated eraser would be so much better than actually having to switch back and forth between your utensil as well as the eraser, which of course is built into different applications. So let's go ahead and tilt this here, and we're actually going to draw a line. Whoops, we didn't get it on the ruler whatsoever. So there we go, it automatically snapped to the ruler now, and we do have that line there. So we can actually switch between our utensils as well as the eraser, as you can see just by tapping on it, and then the Apple Pencil does act as an eraser. It does kind of give you a little cursor on the screen there. So when we have the eraser active, we do have a little cursor that you can see kind of follows the tip of the Apple Pencil there. It might be a little bit hard to pick up on camera because it is so faint, but I assure you there is a cursor that does follow it when you're inside of the eraser mode for the Apple Pencil. And one thing that is great about this device is the fact that it's able to accurately determine not only how much pressure you're putting into your actual strokes with the pencil, but also the level of tilt that you're using. So for example, if we went to use this pencil here, you can see that the line is pretty faint, but if we go ahead and put it on the side, you can see that that acts as more of a shading tool. And I didn't change anything at all. If I go straight up and down, there we have that fine line. And then if we go to the side, again, we do have that shading. So it does act kind of as a real pencil and how it would in real life. Let's go ahead and switch here to the marker tool, and you'll notice that the lines are much bigger and much more obvious when we are on the side. But even if you aren't artistic, it is pretty cool to check out if you're an Apple fan and a huge geek like I am. So I like the Apple Pencil right now in its current state. However, I definitely think that it could be more than what it is, especially with the possibility of an added eraser. One thing that's kind of cool to note though is that the pencil is weighted. So when you actually go to set it down on a surface, you'll notice that when I set it on the iPad, it kind of rolled there, but it didn't roll evenly. Again, it is a weighted device, and when you do actually set it on a surface, when it finally stops rolling or rocking back and forth, it does finally settle with the Apple Pencil logo at the top. So again, it is slightly heavier on this side than it is on the one with the Apple Pencil logo toward the top there. So it's just kind of small attention to detail that makes the Apple Pencil great right now. I think Gen 2 of the Apple Pencil, like with the iPad Pro, will be significantly better than what we have today. And right now, I wouldn't really recommend buying it unless A, you are super into graphic arts design, as well as kind of the whole artistic aspect of using an iPad Pro, or B, kind of just if you are an Apple tech geek like I definitely am. Of course, you can use it for more than just drawing inside of applications. You can completely use it to interact with your iPad if you want. But remember, this isn't meant to be a primary form of input, though it definitely could be if you actually use it as such. So as you can see here, we are navigating through the App Store, just scrolling through applications and pressing on alerts to use location services, or in this case, not to. All right, and finally, I know I already kind of gave my final thoughts and opinions on the Apple Pencil, but I wanted to quickly talk about these two pieces of plastic that do come shipped with it, which I know, again, for $100 is crazy, but once we take the plastic cap that's actually magnetic off of this lightning part here, that again plugs in to charge, we can use this piece to actually connect it to a regular lightning to USB cable, and then either to a US wall adapter, or whichever country you happen to be in, or again to your computer to charge it over USB. So all we have to do is just find the side that has the little circle on it. As you can see, there is a tiny circle on this side, and then just plug it onto the Apple Pencil like so, and then take this other end of the lightning to USB cable and connect it, and then we can charge it without actually having to plug it in to the iPad Pro. Again, we just plug this side into any USB port that is powered to charge it. And finally, last but not least, the other piece here. So on the tip of the Apple Pencil, this is actually interchangeable. So let's go ahead and just twist it like so. And you'll notice that we do have a metal sensor right here. And in order to actually use the Apple Pencil, of course, you do have to twist on the tip, and this is interchangeable. Like I said previously, let's go ahead and pull this whole rig off. And of course, you'll notice we now can use it with the new tip. All right, and thus concludes my unboxing and quick review on the Apple Pencil. I may have more to say about it in the future, so just be sure to click the subscribe button down below next to my channel name if you have yet to. That way you will be notified anytime I decide to cover the Apple Pencil again in a subsequent video. Now, if you guys do want a chance to win a 4th gen Apple TV, just be sure to navigate to freeappsfast.com inside of Mobile Safari and then sign up. Once you do, it's as easy as downloading one or more of the sponsored apps you see in the main section, just so long as you do earn points. Once you do, go to the 3rd tab at the bottom, and you see that referral link. Take the unique part so it appears after the equals symbol, and post it in the comment section of my Apple TV 4th gen unboxing. I will have it linked for you guys on your screens now if you're on the desktop version of YouTube. All right, guys, and if you want to be updated even more often, such as when I'm working on new videos like this one, or even ones pertaining to jailbreaking, just be sure to like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter. And until next time, this is ICU signing out.